and we're excited to be talking to you today about getting more online leads with local search. So welcome to our fast-paced 30-minute seminar today. We're excited that you could join us. We've got a lot of great information to share with you, and we look forward to talking to you about that. So as I get my screen organized here, it looks like our agenda today is we're really going to talk about what's local search, how it works, how you can check to find out if your actual local listings are done correctly, are they updated or outdated, what you need to do with Google+, because that's important, and then what directories, there's tons of directories out there, which ones are really critical to your success, how volumes and citations help improve your search rankings, some do's and don'ts, and then how to really continue to optimize your search results. A lot of people do it almost like a one-time thing, and it really needs to be like everything else you do online. It needs to be supported with continual improvement. A little bit about 3Deep. We're a 50-person agency here in St. Paul, Minnesota. We have a focus on home improvement contractors. We have about 200 contractors that do various online activities with us, mainly around lead generation. And you can see that we have multiple certifications with Google, Salesforce, and we've received some national and local awards as an organization. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Scott Dodge. Scott can introduce himself, and he's going to be our main presenter today. Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Dan. So to give you guys a little background, I'm an SEO specialist over here at 3Deep. Been in the agency environment for a little over 2 years, just kind of working on everything from, small local businesses, contractors like yourselves, all the way up to kind of like Fortune 50 businesses. So kind of a wide spread there. It gives me a lot of, insight into what's going on. I do a lot of specific work with local SEO, some kind of technical SEO stuff, as well as large-scale website audits. So to kind of kick things off, we're going to kind of talk about, what local search is and why it's important. So what is local search? As we can see here, this is kind of a screenshot of 3Deep's Google+ local page. They've recently redesigned some things that kind of show a bit more heavier focus on the map-based view. But as we can see here, we have the name, the address, phone number, website, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, local search, kind of broadly defined as any query with local intent. So it could be things like Minneapolis parks, the best steak in Minneapolis, things like that. Kind of an interesting thing is that we see some terms here that don't have geographic modifiers. So things like hotels or bars or restaurants. And what's interesting about that is Google is getting really smart at determining what constitutes a local query. So for example, if you're doing a search for bars, you probably don't care too much about the bars in New York City if you are located in Minneapolis. So Google is really kind of fine-tuning that. And as I'm sure some of you guys have noticed, searches for things like, replacement windows will pull map-based results without having an actual modifier in there. So now we've talked about local search. What is local SEO? I kind of define this as the process of improving the position of your website and or places page in the search engine. I have website as well as places page in here because sometimes they kind of act independently. So for example, if you're doing just a simple map-based search, like you open up Google Maps and you're doing searches, generally speaking, places page will be ranking. However, if you're in just normal Google search, your website will be ranking. And again, kind of going with the theme of this, Google's really smart, getting really smart about understanding that a places page is linked to a website. So a lot of times we'll see what we call blended results, which are your URL snippet, your meta description, that kind of thing, ranking in the organic search results, along with the little places page icon that will show your address and phone number. And so why is local search important? This is kind of an interesting study that I found from ComScore. And kind of the key here is that 69% of the people that they surveyed said that portal sites, which are things like Google, Yahoo, and Bing, are their primary source for local business information. So, this is kind of shifting a bit. Back in the day, it was, before Google Maps existed or Google Places even existed, you go to places like, Yellow Pages, things like that directly. And that's not necessarily the case anymore, as these portal sites have really kind of stepped up their game in terms of searching for local businesses. But another really interesting thing is that, the average searcher uses 2.5 different types of sources. So, things like moving from Google, maybe, if they're looking for a restaurant or a hotel, they might go to something like Yelp or TripAdvisor or things like that. Those are all very dependent on the vertical, and we'll kind of talk a little bit later about some of the most relevant sources for contractors. So another reason why local search is important is because local results are really gaining more real estate in the search results. And again, this is kind of one of those things that's continually evolving. But as we see here, this is a search based from St. Paul, where we're located, doing just a search for real estate agents. Again, no modifier. Google is saying, hey, if you're looking to buy a house, you probably want somebody local. So they're showing these local results. As well as this, they're also adding in this kind of big visual pane. So as we can see, this Caldwell Banker Burnett, which is the first listing, they have a ton of visibility right here on the right-hand side of search results. And I mean, it's arguably a bit more noticeable than, say, these ads, these organic results like that. So ranking well organically, can get you a lot more visibility like this. As well as, we have this people also search for, kind of additional real estate agents that are in the area. And as we can see, it's kind of important to, have photos and things uploaded like that, as opposed to this company like the Moving Team, which just has this map result. These other kind of competitors are a bit more visually appealing. So I kind of talked about what it is and why it's important. It's also really, really important to know how it works. So basically speaking, the local algorithm is very complicated. It's a bit more complicated than it needs to be at this point in time, but Google is kind of continually updating it. But basically, it's a system that relies on a large network of data providers and other sources, and we'll go in detail into kind of each of these things in a bit. But on a basic level, this local algorithm, which strongly differs from the normal organic algorithm, ranks results based on a combination of the accuracy of business information as well as the popularity of the business. And there's also quite a few other minor factors. But the thing that we really stress is this accuracy of business information aspect, because when you think about it, this entire local system is just basically it's a robot that's running around and finding all these listings of your business and kind of layering them on top of one another. So in order to return a result, they need to be confident that your business is where it says that it is. So when we talk about the accuracy being really important, it's just on a functional level, they need to be completely sure that your business is where you say it is. And when many different sources of business information all have different information, they're not confident. So they're less likely to rank your results. And basically, as people that do local search, our goal is to influence both of these elements to ensure that your business really has the best chance of ranking. And we'll kind of go into two of these big elements right here. So again, the accuracy of your business information is based on how consistent your business is listed in local business directories and other sources. And generally, any listing of your business we refer to as a citation. And these key elements to have listed consistently are basically the name of your business, the address, and the phone number. And we call this kind of combination of elements the NAP. So here's kind of a visual example of not having consistently listed business information across search providers. So if we can see like this first listing is what we want, is the correct one, then if say Yelp has this one about us, and then this is an old address for us that we moved about 3 years ago. Say Yellow Pages has that one, and then City Search has this one, and Yellowbot has this one, et cetera, et cetera. As we can see, when you layer all this information on top of each other, there's no consistency, and the search engines really don't feel confident that they have an accurate, that they have accurate information on the location of your business. So now what we want to do is ensure that everything is absolutely consistent. So for example, if this is what Google Plus has, and this is what Yelp has, and then this is what Yellow Pages has, and this is what Super Pages has, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Google can, or basically these local search engines can say, hey, okay, I get this. This makes sense. I know where this is. I'm going to rank it. So it's really kind of all about inspiring that confidence that you are, in fact, where you say you are. So kind of the other element of it is determining the popularity of a business. So, and this is determined in a few ways, but mainly we really look to influence these factors that are basically the amount and quality of citations that your business has, as well as the amount and quality of links that your website has. So the links aspect is kind of a relatively new evolution in the local algorithm. Google kind of said, hey, we shouldn't base our entire rankings on citations and the consistency of them. We need to start thinking about things a little bit more like we do on the organic search engine. So basically, identifying how popular sites are, just kind of judging on the amount and the quality of links that are coming in. But generally speaking, the higher the amount of accurate quality citations, as well as quality links to your website that you have, the better you will rank locally. So now we're kind of talking about all these data providers, and this is kind of an overly confusing map of what's going on. I think it's intended to be confusing because it is kind of a confusing arrangement. But basically, as we can see here, Google Plus Local is right in the middle, and this is obviously what we want to rank well in. And these are basically all the pieces of the puzzle that get you to rank well. And as we can identify, there are some bigger players and some kind of smaller fish that you probably haven't heard of too much. But we're not going to reverse engineer this too much. On this next slide right here, I've kind of pulled out the key ones that we're really going to be focusing on. And so sites like Axiom, Localese, and Infogroup, these are basically all what we call big data providers. Like for example, Infogroup you can basically list your business with Infogroup, and they have a massive partner network that includes sites like City Search, Super Pages. I think they feed some data to Yellow Pages, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, by listing with Infogroup, you can get like an additional 100 listings. Localese has a little bigger partner network, but they actually just moved to a paid model, paid only. But I mean, listing with them once, you can get out to over 400. Axiom actually feeds Infogroup as well as a couple other big data providers, so listing with them can get you 600 listings. So as we can see, kind of focusing on these big data providers is really key. However, there are some of these other big ones that we need to think about. People do indeed use Yahoo Local, Yellow Pages, Yelp, those kinds of things. They're all very important. But when we're talking about ensuring that your business is listed consistently, on the flip side, if Infogroup, Localese, and Axiom all have incorrect information about your business, that's that could be almost 1,000 listings of your business that are all wrong. So a lot of times what we have to do when we're dealing with things like this, like say a business moved or they've used tracking numbers in the past or things like that, is we'll have to go find and hunt down all these incorrect listings and clean them up. so that Google can get a clearer picture on where you're actually located. So in your field, in the home contractor space, these are actually some of the most important citation sources for you guys to have. This was done by the study was done by some folks in the local space that really do everything under the sun in terms of local. And they basically ran a bunch of queries that were all focused on different industries. And they basically created a list of what's appearing most often for various contractor searches. So things like Service Magic, Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, et cetera, et cetera. These are all very important places for you to actually be listed. And as we can see here, things like Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Service Magic, a lot of these are kind of like heavily review focused. So people like to, for example, see that you're an accredited business. Or if, you have positive reviews on Angie's List, people want to see that and they use and rely on that information. So because all this consistency is so important, we're going to kind of cover some ways to simply check to see how consistently you're listed across the internet. This one tool that I use frequently is called, it's available at getlisted.org. It's a free tool, and basically all you have to do is you plug in your business name and your zip code and click Check My Listing. If there's a little confusion about your actual business listing information, you'll probably see a few different listings pop up around here. So for 3Deep, it's just saying, hey, choose the most accurate one. So if you have some incorrect or inconsistent information, there could be a few options here. So and that can indicate that there are some issues with your consistency. But basically what Get Listed will do is, it'll break down some of these top citation sources, like, for example, we talked about City Search, obviously Google+, but it'll say, hey, these ones are unclaimed. There might be a little inconsistencies in information. And it'll also kind of provide a percentage score. So basically saying that you're X% optimized. And it also breaks out a to-do list for you, like say, hey, go to City Search, claim your listing, go to Yellow Pages, upload photos, et cetera. So it's a very simple and easy tool to use. So we're going to kind of talk about some of the key focus areas of local SEO here. So the four main areas that we really focus on are the Google+ local page, your website, off-site data partners such as directories, as well as reviews around the web. So the Google+ local page, we're looking at, this is the 3D marketing page. As you can see, we've got the photos, the business name, the address, the short description. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this, but this is basically the data that you provide Google about your business. And additionally, we have some ranking factors here that are specific to the Google+ local page. So basically, on a descending order of priority here are the top 10 things that you really need to make sure are correct on your places page. Number one, the physical address and the city of search. So for example, we're here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. 3Deep's located in St. Paul. If we were trying to rank for queries in Minneapolis, like say a marketing company in Minneapolis, we definitely wouldn't hit number one because we're not physically located there. Proper category associations. So again, if you're a home contractor, it shouldn't say that you're a nightclub or a restaurant. Because again, Google's saying, hey, they're saying that they're a contractor, but I have all this other information that says they're a restaurant, so I'm confused. This third one, proximity of address to centroid, is basically saying that how far away you are from the center of the city. So if you're trying to rank for something in St. Paul and you're based in Minneapolis, you're pretty far away from the actual city of St. Paul. So you're generally not going to rank as well. And then there are quite a few other factors that all make for proper place page ranking. So now moving on to the website, and we commonly call this, the on-page factors, so things directly on your website. So your website is important because this is the information that provides additional signals about where your business is located, what you offer, and how to reach you. So, for example, 3D marketing, we have here, we're a St. Paul, Minnesota-based marketing technology company. Here's our phone number up here. Down here we have our address and that kind of thing. So there are a lot of really important on-site ranking factors. Number one would be the domain authority of the website. So how many links, how many quality links do you have coming into your website? Because that's the signal of how popular they are. City, state, and places landing page titles. So that's basically if you are a contractor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on your homepage does it say in your in your page title does it say Minneapolis, Minnesota home contractor? Some of these other ones, this NAP, matching place page NAP. So for example, the NAP, the name, address, phone number, if the exact same name, address, phone number that's on your Google Plus page as well as your website, that comes with another really strong signal. So, and again, we have a lot of other factors that are important for ranking well. So moving on to the data partners, again, these are kind of what we refer to as off-site factors. These are the business directories, data aggregators, as well as other sources that have information about your business. And of course, these have their own set of ranking factors. So focusing on the quantity of structured citations. So again, how many structured, consistent citations do you have on the variety of these off-site data sources? And that's really the main focus of the off-site factors, the quality, the consistency. These words like structured and unstructured, we'll actually cover what those are in just a second. But generally speaking, we're focusing on the quality, quantity of citations, links to the domain, as well as some other factors. So here's kind of the difference between structured versus unstructured. So here's a Yelp page for one of my favorite Polish delis around here called Kramarczak's. That's actually how you pronounce that. But this is an example of a structured citation. It's in a site like Yelp, which is again one of those directory sites. It has the business name, the address, the phone number. This is what we call structured. Now over here, we have a Star Tribune article, which is a local newspaper here, basically talking about Kramarczak's. And over here, they list the address. And that's generally what we would call an unstructured citation because it's on a non-traditional business information source. So both of these are very important to have because Google sees things like this and they're like, oh, well, they're getting written up in a big local paper about doing something right, so we're going to reward them over, because when's the last time that the McDonald's got written up for having the best double cheeseburger in the city? It's probably a little less than these actual restaurants that deserve it a little more. So the other, the last kind of big ranking factor that we're looking at is reviews. And of course, I know everybody knows what reviews are, but these are basically where customers weigh in and publicly talk about your business and how well you do your services. And then again, these have their own kind of set of factors. So we're talking, some of the most important are the quantity of Google Places reviews. So how many actual reviews do you have on your Places page? Product, service keywords in reviews. So if somebody's saying that, your home contractor did the best job of replacing my windows, then again, that sends a sign to the search engines that, hey, these people know what they're doing when it comes to replacement windows. As well, we also have kind of things like these third-party traditional reviews. So those are things like, Angie's List, Better Business Bureau, stuff like that. Again, location keywords in reviews is important. So again, if somebody's like, hey, they do the best job in Minneapolis of replacing my windows, Google will definitely pick up on these things. So kind of the interesting thing here is that a lot of these are really focused on quantities, and there's really not a lot focused on quality. And I kind of suspect that a lot of this is because reviews are kind of one of those commonly spammed things. Like, I know that we personally have a few home contractors that were, the victim of competitors doing negative review spam. So kind of saying, hey, I'm going to pay you X amount of money to leave some negative reviews on these pages. So I think Google's really not quite there yet in terms of using the quality of reviews as an actual ranking factor. But that's not to say that, having good reviews is not a benefit, because as I'm sure everybody knows, a lot of times consumers use, those overall star ratings, specific reviews, when they're evaluating who to work with. So kind of moving on to the do's and don'ts of local SEO. Basically, these are kind of these do's right here are basically a blend of the most important factors across all of these various different metrics. So again, we have some focusing here on the places page, some on the website, some on the off-site data providers. But basically, have a physical address in the city of search. That's the #1 thing that will help you rank for local queries. Having proper category associations, these kinds of things. Having a strong domain authority. These are really all the things that you should be focusing on for local SEO success. And I also wanted to kind of cover some of the bad things, so the things that you shouldn't do. So these are basically the biggest things that tend to compromise your ability to rank. So mismatching and using tracking phone numbers in various data providers. So again, using tracking numbers in things like City Search, Yellow Pages, or some of the big data networks like Localese and Infogroup, that ends up providing a lot of different sites with incorrect information. Things like duplicate pages can be bad because, again, Google will not understand which one is the right one and which one should be important. If you're using a different address on your website than on your places page, that's going to send a really poor signal. So, I mean, as we can see, a lot of this really focuses on consistency. So kind of as a general rule, don't do anything that will compromise the consistency of the way that your business name, address, and phone number is listed throughout the internet.
Great. Thanks, Scott. I think that's kind of a great 8 or 9 step summary of the things we just talked about, and I think there's some good information in there. A lot of this are things that you can actually do on your own, where in some cases you might need some outside resources like 3Deep to help you. We certainly are willing to help you, but in a lot of cases, many of the things that Scott talked about are things that you can do yourself. If those are things that you're not comfortable doing yourself or would like some help on, you're certainly welcome to contact either Scott or myself at the numbers and emails listed below. We'll also be, this seminar is actually being recorded, so if for some reason you would like a copy of it, just send an email to either of us or sales@3dmarketing.com, and we'll send you a link to the YouTube video that'll be out later today. So I'm just going to pause here now and just see if there are any questions. I'm going to open up the note and find out if you have any questions. If you want to ask a question now, we'd be happy to answer it. Otherwise, this will be nearing the end of our 30-minute seminar. So if you have any questions or comments, would like other topics discussed, specifically around how home improvement contractors can drive incremental lead generation, we'd be happy to take those on. Otherwise, look for another invite in the June timeframe when we'll have another topic around creating and promoting lead generation with online marketing. Thanks for your time today, and we look forward to talking again next month. Bye now.